just a few other reminders and tips when you're writing a resume. So I mentioned some of these things at the beginning, but I can't stress them enough. But really, you want to make sure you have all pertinent and keywords that are relevant to the internship or job you're looking for, things that you have experience in, but also things you're interested in. And you want to make a really good first impression. So there's some other things you always need to keep in mind. Spell and grammar check. There should not be a single spelling error on your resume. Grammar check, and it's so easy now, as we all know, to just do that. You want it to be neat, clean, succinct in formats and fonts. You want it to be easy to read. Always have somebody else edit it or review it, because somebody else's eyes are going to catch something that you didn't. And, you know, none of us are perfect. And even a spell check on a computer may not catch something. So another person might catch something. So it's always good to have somebody look it over. I mentioned this in the beginning about having your contact information. I do tend to see a lot of AOL email addresses still, which is kind of crazy. I'm sure most of you do not have AOL email addresses, but something like a Gmail, something current, makes the most sense on your resume. And then you want to keep it to 1 page to 2 pages at most. I get a lot of questions about how many pages should my resume be? I've heard it only can be 1 page. Well, you know what? It can be more than 1 page. And you'll see as you have more experience that your resume will need to go to 2 pages. For most students, I would say it should be around 1 page. If you go over 1 page, that's perfectly fine. It's just because you have a lot of, you know, experience or volunteer work or other things that are relevant and important to list. But before you get to that 2-page mark, make sure that you are being succinct in what you are saying and you're not being too wordy, because sometimes it's as simple as that, just taking out all the extra words and simplifying things, and you might get it down to 1 page, but it is okay to go to 2 pages. Again, less is more. And then when you're applying to any jobs or internships, one of the main things to do is save it as a PDF and upload it as a PDF. That goes for your cover letter as well. Don't send it as a Word document, send it as a PDF, because people are looking at these documents on tablets, on phones, on computers, and they're going to read the way you want them to be read if you save it and send it as a PDF. So, okay. Any questions right now, or should we?
Yeah, we actually do have a couple.
Okay.
So we'll start with one. Do you think having a web portfolio as a college student would help in getting internships or jobs?
If it's a creative type of a job, yes. So I do think that's very helpful if that you need to provide examples. And typically that's more for creative types of positions, but it could be for non-creatives too, depending on what the job requires. One of the things I would say is that make sure you're reading the job postings closely and make sure you're following directions. If they tell you to send a resume and a cover letter, send a resume and a cover letter. If they say they'd like to see a portfolio of work, make sure you save a web portfolio of your work and send the link to that. So just follow the directions. It's not necessary, but it could be requested for some positions.
Okay, thank you. We do have one more, kind of two. I think they're getting along the same lines.
Okay.
So how would you use a car, like the framework, for a different industry? So like a lot of college students are coming from, you know, non-technical jobs. How do they frame those for the jobs they want?
So you really need to focus the car statements on the experience that you've had. So the focus is not so much on the car statement, it's more in the areas, the skills, technical skills or core skills and areas of expertise. That's where you're going to focus more on the job that you want. So, you know, maybe you've only had experience working in a restaurant. It doesn't pertain to an engineering position. So you're going to have to focus more in that core skills and areas of expertise, which usually would be at the beginning of the resume underneath your name and your contact information. So under here, you would have a section called, you know, summary or core skills and areas of interest or areas of expertise. And that's where you might have a sentence or two summarizing a little bit of your experience or education and listing in maybe a bullet format some of the keywords that you do have experience with, but also things that you're interested in.